Bestech just dropped the Heidi Blacksmith 3, and I'm calling it my pocket scalpel. For around 65 bucks, you're getting a brand new fixed blade with a full-size grip and a blade that's barely over 2 inches long. And I think it's one of the most precise little cutters you can carry, all while being insanely pocketable. And as always, I'll have a link down in the description for where you can get yours. So, that out of the way, let's get into the specs. As I mentioned, it runs $65, and for that you get a 2.3-inch trailing point blade, and that is 14C28N steel. And they do also have a sheep's foot blade version available. This is a stonewash finish, and the scales are a textured green micarta. Bring it up close so you can see the texture. I would say it's almost like a golf ball texture is kind of what I would describe it as. A little bit bigger than obviously golf ball dimples, but same kind of pattern there. And it is also available with black G10 scales, and that comes in a satin finish, and orange G10 scales, and that comes with a PVD coated finish. And for all of those, the weight on this is 1.4 ounces. So you're looking at a very, very light knife here. So what about the Ergos? I can get a full 4-finger grip on this, and you can see it's a pretty solid full 4-finger grip. My pinky isn't like trying to hang off the edge there or anything, so solid full 4-finger grip. The micarta adds plenty of grip without being rough. It's kind of that middle ground between being a polished micarta and being just a very rough finish micarta. And as I mentioned, the texture, it does add a little bit of grip as well. Now, one thing that I would have appreciated is some jimping, maybe a little set down here and another set towards the tip. I just like that for indexing with your thumb when you're doing, you know, like kind of the box cutter style grip. It's nice to have that to index, but it's not the end of the world. And actually my thumb can rest up here in the curve of the trailing point to really get some good pressure. So that is a plus, even though it doesn't have that jimping. And it does also have a lanyard hole. So if you prefer to put a lanyard on your knife, especially for like pocket carry, if you want to carry it deep and be able to use the lanyard to pull it out, you can use that. Onto the sheath. So the sheath, it is a taco style sheath, and it is pretty minimal in size and weight, which is not surprising given the size of the knife. You aren't having a lot of blade you're having to put in here. It does have pretty good retention. You can hear it. I don't know if you heard it, but it clicked. There's no rattling. It's not moving around in there at all. Now, one of the things that may be a positive or negative for you is that it doesn't come with a pocket clip or anything like that. It just comes with this, no belt clip, nothing like that. Now, for me, that didn't bother me because I usually swap out whatever pocket clip it comes with and replace it anyway. So it just kind of took out a step for me. But if you want it to come with some kind of pocket clip, just be aware that it does not. Now, as you can see, I went with an UltiClip 3.3. This is one of my favorite ways to carry a knife in the pocket. And if you do want to go the UltiClip route, you definitely want to get the 3.3. I tried to use one of the 2.2 versions on here. The spacing on the holes just didn't seem to work with that. So definitely I would go with the 3.3. You could probably also use soft straps, use maybe this grommet and this one, space it out a little bit, and you could carry it horizontally on your belt or something like that. But with the small size of the blade compared to the size of the grip, I think that would be a little bit awkward. So I think this is definitely a pocket carry for most people. So on to carry and practicality. So with its lightweight and the quality sheath, carrying it in the pocket is a breeze. So I have it set up so that the top of the clip is even with the top of the sheath, as you can see here, but you could easily, you know, shift this up and carry it deeper. Like I mentioned, you might want to use a lanyard at that point just to be able to get a better grip on it. And you could also move it up and use these top 2 grommets and get it really, really, really deep in your pocket. And now you're not going to mistake this for a hard use knife as far as it goes, because like I said, smaller blade, relatively thin blade stock, but it is great for precision tasks. So things like detailed carving, trimming material, or opening boxes, it will excel at. And I'm actually going to bring in a cutting board because I don't want to mess up my nice little mat here. So with cardboard, really good for precise cuts. You can see I can get that nice curve there. Very precise, very good at those detailed cuts, but at the same time, you can very easily use this to break down boxes. Like, it's not going to be my first choice for that, but you can definitely do it. But as I mentioned, definitely more of a precision cutter when it comes to stuff like that. Oh, sorry. Or you could even use it for more precise food prep tasks, like if you're breaking down game or something like that, and you need to get into just those little more detailed parts of doing that. I think this would be a great option for that as well. And the other really big perk as far as carrying practicality is that with a 2.3-inch blade, this should be legal to carry in most locales. Although, you know, you're always going to want to check your local blade laws. But for instance, with me living, you know, kind of close to Chicago, this is a fixed blade that I could legally carry in Chicago. So on to build quality. There's really not much to mess up here, as is the case with a lot of fixed blades, but what there is good. I really like the feel of the micarta. Like I mentioned, it's not overly rough or overly smooth. It's just about right to give you some extra grip. Everything lines up as far as the scales, which lining up the edge of the scales with the edge of the tang is not always a big thing anymore, because like some knives by design, they'll have the tang come out a little bit, and that's just kind of how the knife is designed. But I like how these line up with the scales. I also, it came very nice and sharp. You saw me breaking down the cardboard, but I'll bring out some paper to do the old paper test. So a little bit of a hiccup there, but there we go. Definitely sharp. May not be shaving sharp, but definitely cuts paper very easily. So, pros and cons on this one for me. So, biggest pro, I think, has to be the good price. $65, that's really hard to beat. And the steel 14C28N is a great budget-minded steel. The variety of blade shapes, having the choice between the trailing point and the sheep's foot, also having different scale material options between micarta and G10. It's also a very light and very pocketable design with the pocket sheath. Great for precise cutting, like I showed you. And as I just mentioned, it's going to be legal in most locales, including Chicago and I believe Boston, but double check out. You'll need to double check on Boston if you're in that area. But the cons on this one, it's not going to be much of a hard user, which it's not designed for that. But let's just, you know, a con, you're not going to be able to beat it up the same way you probably would a more robust knife. The lack of jimping is a little bit of a con for me. Again, it's not a game ender or anything like that, but I would have preferred some jimping on the blade. And also a thicker handle may be a little bit more comfortable, but of course that's a trade-off. And like, I don't have any issues with the comfort of this. And again, it's designed to be a lightweight scalpel style blade. So not a big deal for me. So let's get into some size comparisons. So first up, I have another knife that is in that 2.5-inch blade or under range, and that is the Griffin Co. Scout 2.5. Now, to me, this is almost, think of this as like a more robust version of the same size class. And this is also a MagnaCut steel, and this runs over $200. So you're looking at a humongous price difference between these two. So, and another knife in that smaller blade class is the Boker Enki. And this is also about, I want to say this is a 2.3 or 2.4 inch blade. But again, you can see these are definitely more robust options, and these are not going to be as precise of cutters as the Heidi Blacksmith 3. So those are just some similar blade lengths. And just to give some context for a really popular knife, the SE Azula, and this is the standard Azula with extended scales. So size-wise, this is actually probably going to be closer to the Azula 2 as far as size goes, but they don't offer the Azula 2 and S35VN, so that's why I got the original Azula and just put the extended scales. But you can see much shorter blade, much shorter overall length, and just the blade stock is definitely thinner on the Heidi Blacksmith 3. So now to compare it to some folding knives that are also in that really small, under 2.5 inch blade class. So here we have the Spyderco Little Native. the CJRB mica, and the CIVIVI Baby Banter 2. So size-wise on the blades, these are actually probably a lot closer in blade size. Total size, I would guess it's going to be a bit bigger than all of these fully extended, which is not a huge surprise because it's a fixed blade. But really impressive what they were able to do with this knife, and even weight-wise compared to these. So all of that said, would I buy this again, and would I recommend it? So for $65, that is a definite yes for me. I'm actually considering getting the sheath foot blade just because I like it so much. If I went with that one, I would probably get the black G10 and the satin finish just to get something a little bit different. And as far as would I recommend it, if you need a precision cutter, I would say absolutely. And I think this is like, even if you're not going to carry it, this is just a nice little tool to have around the house. If you just need something for a more precision cut in doing anything, whether it's cooking or just trimming something, I think this is a great tool to have around for that. But what about you? Is this a little too niche for you? Or do you think that some of the uses, or do you think you could find some uses for it in your everyday life as well? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, if there's another knife or piece of EDC gear that you'd like to see me review, suggest it there as well. And if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing so you don't miss the next one. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.